Misfortune is an obscure game for the original Game Boy, since no known hard copies or ROMs exist. All known information on the game is derived from personal accounts and a scant assemblage of screenshots. This the game does not contain any credits. Whoever created it has yet to be discovered to this day. A few people who have experienced it consider it to be one of the scariest video games ever made, considering its age and cult following amongst rare horror games enthusiasts. It's entirely possible that the authors of widely known creepypasta Sonic.exe and Lavender Town Syndrome drew it from Misfortune. The player controls what appears to be a young boy in a strange gothic building. After briefly exploring their environment, they are confronted by a malevolent being. Despite the character never identifying itself, some people, citing notable similarities, claim it may be the representation of a Baphomet, Beelzebub, or even the devil. Upon meeting the mysterious creature, a dialogue box will appear in the text. I exist within the very fabric of reality. Do you wish to challenge me? This is followed by yes or no choice. Should the player choose yes, the being replies, then let's begin. The player is transported to a series of maze-like rooms, each filled with pit drops, locked doors, keys, and traps. The object is to progress through each room by either reaching the stairs or the next level or solving a puzzle. This could include answering riddles or choosing correct doors or pathways. The most well-known example consists of a level where 4 small cabins are shown on the screen. A dialog box will appear that reads, "Choose wrong, and your misfortune will befall you once ready." Should the player make a mistake at any point throughout the game, the screen will cut to black before showing a more detailed image of the creature. Dialogue reading I am God. It will appear as style drawing. Rumors pertaining to the game's alleged harmful effects began to surface on the internet around the late 1990s. Players claimed to have begun experiencing ongoing and dread shortly after losing and seeing the game over screen. Once prominent members of online forums who shared such claims are thought to have died or disappeared when they suddenly became inactive without warning. Heated discussions soon dominated these forums for some time, but the mystery never seems to get any closer to being resolved. Some wrote the whole thing off as a tasteless practical joke. Others believe the viewing of the image of the character after losing the game can really cause the player to experience misfortune as the game's antagonist promised. Soon people began to speculate that the eerie soundtrack of the game was the cause. The music in Misfortune consists of deep, buzzy tones and off-key melodies. The game has a remarkably unsettling soundtrack overall, despite its composition being limited to 8-bit Game Boy sound bank. The game over screen especially had erratic, almost nauseating music, accompanied by very high frequency. Rumor has it that the track could somehow influence moods and thought patterns. Of all the tracks in the game, only the theme that plays in the first meeting that can be found on the internet today. Searching for playable ROMs or cartridges of the game online is futile because none exist. In fact, most of those who played it hadn't sought it out, but rather stumbled upon it by accident. According to the first-hand accounts, certain copies of various Game Boy titles contain Misfortune in its entirety. The means for accessing it through these games vary, but typically involve exploiting glitches or using cheating devices, although some have detailed their steps forward for getting the game to run. Attempts by others using the same methods have always failed. Another common observation that many of the sprites of Misfortune have been copied from its host games. Misfortune is thought actually known to integrate from the following titles: Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, Pokemon Red, Spud's Adventure, Poochie Carrot, and Ulterior Marie JP. For this section, I'm going to be speaking to you a lot less and partially and a lot more personally. It's important that you read it. Now, is a game really cursed? Does a specter really hide within the snare of the innocent in a deadly game? Who knows? What I do know is that the game definitely exists. I also know what it can do. I've never played it myself, you see, but I know someone who did. A good friend of mine. Actually, we were closer than brothers. We told each other everything. He was the most enthusiastic, outgoing guy I ever met. And like me, he was really into video games. Sure enough, one day, he told me he found a spooky new side game hidden in Pokemon. He showed it to me, and even back then, it gave me an odd feeling. But to be fair, I was always easily scared. Soon after, he started talking less and less. Later, he'd either ignore my calls or tell me he was sick or busy when I invited him out. He became something of a recluse. I did still sometimes get to see him in high school, but he rarely spoke and snapped at me when I pried too much over why he was acting in such a way. About a month later, before he got off the train after school, he said goodbye for the first time in weeks. I'll never forget the look he gave me that day. He was the macho, nothing gets to me type of guy. He was always masked his emotions really well, but in that moment, he had a face filled with grief, like he was about to cry. He made me promise him one thing before he left, that I'd never play that game. That was the last time we spoke. The next morning, they found his scrap with a weight machine. The police conducted that he managed to lift 220 pounds of weight over his head with the cord still, and released it over the other side of the machine, causing it as the weight of the other side. The most horrible detail was that he was found with his hands clenched, as if they were trying to. That was it. The case was closed, person. I don't believe that's what really happened. If you are a collector, or have just heard of the legend and want to experience the game for yourself, you should reconsider. Even if you deny the existence and curses, the misfortune that would befall you is very real. You have been warned. That's episode 15. Yeah, 15 of Channel 4, Misfortune.Gb. Episode 16 will be out soon. The next day. Subscribe, smash the like button for episode 16, and I will see you in the next video. See you.